100% of the buyers that I meet with over Zoom for the buyer presentation sign with me. Now, I rarely ever give this away, like ever, but I'm giving this to you away for free. This is exactly what I say at a buyer presentation. I feel awkward even saying buyer presentation because I don't even feel like it's a presentation. It's just a conversation. I get my full fee every single time, and I want you to get your full fee every single time as well. So I'm going over my process, the questions they usually ask, and what the next steps are in order for them to sign the buyer broker agreement. And I'm doing this all over Zoom. I meet with buyer clients over Zoom. So in case you meet with buyer clients in person, that's totally fine. The concept still remains the same. If at any point you find value, please hit the like button, subscribe. I never asked that, but I'm asking you here. And if you want more, stick around to the end because I'm giving something away. No matter what brokerage you're in, no matter how new or experienced you are, I'm giving it away. I've been licensed for 3.5 years. I became top 1.5% of my entire brokerage my first full year of doing this, and I got my little trophy over here to prove it. I'm also an icon agent with Exp. I'm on track to make $350K GCI this year, and I want to help you do the same. I now have gotten into my rhythm, and I know which way I like to lead prospect. My favorite way is through YouTube. You're watching this. So I have other channels to help buyers and sellers, two separate channels. So as I make videos talking about the city that I live in, the real estate prices, the interest rates, what's the president going to do with it, XYZ, whatever topics are hot, I make a video on it. And in the middle or at the end of every video, I say, hey, by the way, if you want to work with me, I am a real estate agent. Make sure that all buying parties are on the call. But the only way to book with me and to start the process is to book a call with the link in the description below. This, what I'm sharing on the screen right now, is the link of what they see. The fastest way to assure that you will be on my calendar is to book a call on my calendar. I'll see you there. And I'm sharing this with you because I am giving this to you. If you want to copy question by question, here you go. I hope it helps. The only thing I ask in return is for you to subscribe to this channel. So I use Calendly. It's about $150 a year. I think it's 1,000% worth it. I would pay probably 10x. So let's begin. Let's say that you are the buyer. From the buyer's perspective, this is the link that I have in my YouTube description. This is the link that I have saved as a shortcut on my phone. So whenever I get a text message from a potential, stranger buyer saying, hey, I saw your video. Can we chat right now? The answer is always no. The answer is I'm currently with a client right now. The only way to start the home buying process with me is to book a call with the link below. Or again, if they're texting me, I say, I would love to. Unfortunately, I can't right now. I'm with another client. Even if I'm not with another client, I am saying that I am because I cannot drop everything that I am doing for clients at this time. More on that later. So I have a shortcut on my phone that has the link to this. So now that we're caught up, this is from the buyer's perspective. They're going to say, okay, if the only way that I can work with Allie is to book a call, let's book a call. Let's say March 26th is a good day at 8:30 a.m. They click next, they fill out the description here, first name, last name, email. They have the opportunity to add a guest. I ask for their phone number, and these are the questions. Feel free to copy and paste this, baby. That's why I'm doing this for you. Okay, question number 1 is, will you be selling another home before or during this purchase? Why do you think I asked that? It's for a referral. So if it's a yes, I want to know what the next question is, which is what's the full address? I'd like to do some comps myself. I'd like to see if I have a partner. By the way, Exp has over 80,000 agents. We're going to have somebody in that area. I call a couple of agents. I ask if they work that area, how many listings they've done, and do I get a good gut feeling from them? Because if the clients that booked a call with me don't yet have an agent to help them sell, I would like to help them and make sure that I have a good connect. This is not just for the referral fee, by the way, which is nice, but I want to make sure that I have a good connection with the listing agent because that listing agent, if they are not good, let me tell you, they can ruin your purchase. If they do not market their property appropriately, if they do not have a spine and do not tell your clients that they are overpricing their property and it sits, then therefore, if those buyers need the funds to purchase your house, you're never going to get a sale. You're never going to help them buy a house if they can't sell their old one. So the listing agent has to be solid. I cannot tell you how many times I have done the work for both helping the clients purchase and helping them sell across the country because not all agents are the same. Oh, God, don't even get me started. Okay, enough with that. Next question is, what is the reason for you buying/selling? And I kind of did a twofer here because Calendly only allows 10 questions, but anyway, what's the reason of why you're buying and selling, and what date would you like to close? This tells me two things, obviously. Are they military? Are they being forced to buy? Do they have a deadline to buy? Or are they maybe retirees or relocating at any time? They don't really have a specific date in mind. It's a qualifying question. Do you need to buy, or is this just something that, you would consider and, I want to know. Next question is, I have a price range, and I have radio buttons for these price ranges for a reason. So for example, the below 200, we're only going to be looking at land or mobile homes at that point. So of course, these numbers may not apply to you if you don't work in Tucson. The reason to this madness is, are we looking at a condo / mobile home / land? Are we looking at maybe a nicer condo? Are we looking at a median priced home, which is around in the 400s, so this is the middle button here is the median price home. Are we looking at above the average price? So here we're looking at pools, or are they a little bit more luxury? And I give them the option to write down a specific amount too. The next question I ask, are you pre-approved already? Are you going to be using my lenders? Are you going to be using your own lenders? Or are you going to be paying cash? Then, of course, the three questions that everybody should ask: what are your must-haves? What are your wants, but they're not necessities? And what are your deal breakers? These three are very important, and I'll go into it more on what I say in the Zoom call, but I refer back to this often, especially as later on when they start sending me properties, if it doesn't match their original buy box, which is this is their buy box in investor language, I call timeout and I say, hey, originally you wanted a 2-car garage. This is now a carport, or something. So we're straying away from what you originally wanted. Let's regroup, because I want to make sure that somewhere along the way I lost track. I want to make sure all of us are on the same page. That mainly does two things. One, it makes sure that we're communicating effectively, that they know, hey, I was keeping track of what you were looking for, and all of a sudden now you're thinking of something else. Can you please tell me now? Let's go from the beginning. Let's do all of this again. But usually what happens is the second or the latter, and they say, oh, wait, actually, you're right. I don't really want to see that property. And we just saved hours. So must-have, wants, and deal breakers. The last question is kind of a catch-all. It's, hey, what else should I know before we meet? Then they add their phone number here for them to get texts from the Calendly, which I have set up reminders for them so I do not get ghosted ever on this one. Then they schedule it and we meet. So now we're caught up. I have made YouTube videos for leads. This isn't about leads. I have a lot of other videos on this channel for leads. They have booked the call. They have added their spouse or maybe sibling or whoever else is a buying party with them. As soon as they click schedule event, 2 text messages are going to be fired off from my Calendly. One is going to go to me saying, hey, Larry Bob booked the call for Monday at 8:30 a.m. And Larry's going to get a text saying, you have scheduled a call with Allie the agent at 8:30 a.m. on Monday. Here are your responses. So fast forward to the actual meeting. 1 hour before we meet, they get the link to the Zoom call again. As a reminder, we are meeting on Zoom. I do not meet clients in person. I used to. Not anymore. In Tucson, it takes 1 hour to drive from one side to the other, and I just don't do that. I think it's a power move. If you ask them to go into your office, they don't want to go there. They want to be in the comfort of their own house, and so do I. So we meet over Zoom after some, friendly talk, and, I like getting to the point. That's me. Maybe it's just the military in me. Maybe it's the New Yorker in me, but I'm like, hey, what's up? It's so nice to meet both of you. And you are, because typically they have invited their spouse. One person is more analytical and they're like doing the research. The other person is just kind of like, it's how couples are. Whoever it is that booked the call, they introduce their, say, spouse. And I'm like, hey, Mary, so awesome to meet you. I'm excited to work with you guys. I assume the sale, by the way. I make sure that they're not driving. I've never had somebody take this call while they were driving. I want to make sure that I have their full attention. So then I say, it's so awesome to meet you, Larry, Mary. Nice to, that rhymes. I didn't even mean it for it to rhyme. You get it. So I usually take this call in 3 parts. The first part is going to be going over the answers of what you scheduled in the questionnaire. The second part is going to be going over the Tucson market because I want you to know exactly what we're dealing with now. Of course, I know that you're not looking to purchase and by the way, I have my nose off to the side. So I'm like, I know that you're not looking to purchase until July, but I'm going to tell you what the market is like now and kind of where I predict it's going to go by the time you go around to purchase. And the third part of the call is if we decide to work together, I'm going to send you the buyer broker agreement and we're going to go over the next steps and expectations, what you can expect of me, what I can expect of you. So that way you are happy in this relationship and so am I. And usually I have a little haha at the end because they're like, oh yeah, wait, my agent probably should be happy with me too. And it's like opening up that like, oh, we are not just interviewing her, she's interviewing us too. This is a two-way interview right now, which by the way, you should be thinking of this. I hope that you are not just taking every single client. I feel like a lot of new agents do. I used to. I'm preaching to my old me right now. And then I read a book called The Full Fee Agent. And boy, did that change my mind. That, along with having so many clients that I couldn't handle it. And I know how that sounds. And then I continue saying, as soon as we know that we want to work with each other and you sign the buyer broker agreement, that is when I can start working for you. Overall, does that make sense of the call today so far? And they're usually like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get started. Okay, great. So I have your questionnaire open over here, and then I just look at the questionnaire. It automatically adds to either your Outlook calendar or your Google Calendar. So I look at my Google Calendar. I'm like, okay, Larry, so I see that you are selling a home in Maryland. And do you already have an agent for that? I kind of just go through all these questions line by line, question by question, because I will say a lot of times the person who signs this is not always completely aligned with their spouse. This is where you want both parties, the both buying parties, to be on the same page. The last thing you want to do, and this is what I found when I was meeting people in person, I'd be like, hey, what are your wants? What are your needs? What specifically are you looking for? And that was the first time they heard that question. So with Calendly, this allows them to think about this on their own because there were just too many times where I would be sitting there, literally bobbing my head back and forth, like bouncing between the buyer and the buyer one, buyer two, spouse one, spouse two, yelling at each other, saying, I don't want a garage. Yeah, but I want a pool, but I don't want to be that far. No, pool's too much. I'm like, oh, why am I here? Like this is not me right now. I'm not your counselor. So I want you guys to figure it out. Once you guys figure it out, then book a call with me. That's when I'll enter the space. So that is what I use this Calendly for. Is you guys figure it out. I'm going to trust but verified on the call. I'm going to say, hey, so we're looking at a price range between $350,000 and $500,000. Is that right? Do you want to be a little bit more narrow? And they're like, yeah, that is when we go over the final details. It's not the first time they're being asked, what do you want? Because that's a loaded question when it comes to a lot of buyers, new or experienced. So there you go. That's my Calendly, and feel free to copy and paste. You can pause, rewind, do all that. After we have covered every single part of this, as I have my Google Calendar open with their responses on another tab, in a separate window rather, I have my KV Core or my CRM. And the reason I have KV Core open, even though it's clunky, it's free with EXP, I like it, it gets the job done. I already have the contact open. At this point is when I start adding filters, not before. Not that I'm trying to withhold any properties because I'm not. They have access to Zillow and probably would prefer other websites compared to KV Core. But this is where I start sharing screen. So I say, okay, great. I'm going to share my screen because I want to go over and see how many properties with you there are. Maybe there are only 2, maybe there are 200. I don't know, but I want to share this process with you because I want you to know how easy it is for me to switch my filters. So at any point, assuming that we work together, as soon as you start seeing these properties hit your email, which by the way, check your junk email, it's going to hit your junk email first. As soon as you start seeing these properties, if there's anything you want to change or anything you don't like, or you want to change the filters, any filters, let me know. I'm showing you how easy it is on my end to do it. More than happy to do it because I do not want to be sending you shit. And you can be honest with me. You're like, you could easily say, Allie, these houses are not what I was looking for. Can we change it? My feelings won't be hurt. I'm not the owner of these properties. So hell yeah, we can change them. And then you should go, ha ha ha, okay, great. So I'm just breaking the ice. I'm sharing my personality, who I am. By the way, this is what I wear. I'm not a suit person. Did that for 10 years in the military. Not doing that anymore again. And this is me. And guess what? I still made it to top 1.5% of Exp Realty. You don't need to dress a certain way. You don't need to act a certain, the way that you need to act is yourself. Whether you have a bubbly personality, a mean personality, a whatever personality, be you because your people will be attracted to you. If I were to be a stiff realtor and very professional, like a lot of other agents, very carefully, meticulously choosing their words And, like I would die. That's not for me. Back to Full Fee Agent, read that book. It'll help you out a lot. So we go over their questions. Let's finish these questions. So must-haves, wants, and deal breakers. Back to the lender question. This, of course, after this, I say, okay, great. If you don't yet have a lender, I'll introduce you to a couple of lenders. More than happy to do that. Shop around. I have a video for you on exactly how to make sure you're getting an apples to apples comparison. So that way you are happy with what you're getting. So as I go through the filters on KV Core and I'm sharing my screen with the buyers, they're seeing how easy it is for me to switch the filters from a 2-car garage to a 3-car garage, or to open up this other area of town, or to maybe exclude an area of town that they don't want due to their research. I'm not steering. But the purpose of me sharing my screen is to show them, do we have 2 properties or do we have 200? And the reason I want to show them how many houses are for sale is because if, say we have, let's start with the lower amount first. Say we only have 2 properties. That means we either need to act very fast, and that's what I tell them. That's when I start setting expectations. So that's what this entire thing is about. The buyer presentation is about setting expectations. So you're going to say, hey, we're looking at a very specific property, and I am glad that you know exactly what you want. With that said, being that there are only 2 properties now, there may only be 2 properties when you're looking to purchase in July. So are you comfortable with making a sight unseen offer and making an offer same day? At that point, that's when we start talking about how fast we're going to have to move in this market due to what they're looking for. Now, say it's on the opposite side where we have 200 homes for sale. At that point, that is where I try to get the buyers to start narrowing it down even more, because we're not seeing 200 homes. I've never shown a buyer more than 8 properties before going under contract. Usually it's 5. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to start narrowing down, like get in their brain. I cannot read your mind, so I need you to spell it out for me. We're on the same team, and I don't want to be showing you shitty houses. I say that verbatim on purpose. Yes, I curse, because I want to break that ice, and I want to say, I'm your friend. I'm right here with you. I want you to be honest with me, be real with me. If I ever show you a property and you're like, bro, this house smells, I don't even want to see the rest, let's skedaddle. Let's get out of here. Once we have the filter set up on my side and they are receiving it, and I've added their spouse to being CC'd, so that way, again, communication goes to both parties. I will never favor one party over the other, because I assume that spouses don't talk, because many don't. Many do not. Wow. Anyway, so once everyone is getting emails, at that point, I ask the client, I say, hey, do you mind if I take a look at just a couple of properties here with you on the screen right now? I'm going to click on a couple. I'm going to zoom through these photos pretty fast. So just let me know, speak out loud and let me know kind of what your thoughts are. Yay, nay, no like, cabinets, yes, driveway, no, stuff like that. So I pick 2 at random. I'm like, hey, which ones do you want me to look at? Okay, let's look at this one. Cool. And then I zoom through the photo really, really quick. Well, not super quick. I give them a chance to see it. But I start getting their feedback. And sometimes the purpose of doing that is to get the spouses talking again, especially if during the conversation up until this point, there's mainly only been one speaker. So once I get a sense of what they're looking at, that's also helps me too, makes me know kind of what they're looking for. What do they judge a property by? Great. I add that to my notes and then I move on. Then I say, okay, awesome. I kind of have a sense of what you're looking for now. So this has been super helpful. At this point, are there any specific properties that you would purchase today? Just not that you were going to make an offer today, but that you know that you like today. And sometimes they're like, yeah, actually, we do want to make an offer. We know that there's a property that we're looking for, et cetera, et cetera. Conversation can move elsewhere. But that helps me, again, get a sense of what they're looking for. So after that ends part 1 of the call. And I don't say, now we have finished part 1, but I'm like, okay, sweet. So I know of what you're looking for now. Now I want to cover the Tucson market. Of course, you're not looking to purchase for another 3 months or 6 months or 2 months, whatever it is. So things are likely going to change. The properties that you're seeing here, you're not going to see by the time you end up purchasing. And they're usually like, yeah, we know, which is good. Good that they know. So I want to go over the Tucson market and kind of what I think you should expect to see. At this point, this is when I open up my 3rd tab, which I already have ready before the call. It's very easy, bookmark whatever your MLS is for the MLS stats. For Tucson, This is the URL over here. I go to market reports, I log in, and the purpose of this is to show them what the market's like in the specific area of where they're looking for, or the type of house they're looking for. So it's not just Tucson in general, and it's definitely not Pima County real estate in general. It's so different, street by street, neighborhood to neighborhood. So I want to be as specific as possible to them. So this is where I share the screen, and I'm going to give just a random example. Say the buyers that I'm meeting with are looking to purchase in the Rita Ranch area or Vail School District area in Tucson, Arizona. So I would look at specifically the zip code 85747, and I'm going to click only. I'm going to pretty much narrow this down so that way they see with their own eyes. I've already done this research beforehand, but now they're seeing the reality, and it's not coming from me. Instead, it's almost like both of us sitting at the same table together with the opponent, who is the market. I have the zip code put in. I have in the dwelling type, I narrow that down, if they're looking for a townhouse, if they're looking for a single family, etc. So in this case, single family. If they're looking for at least a 3-bedroom house, then I will do, I'll keep that up. I'll take away the 14-bedroom option here since they're likely not doing that. And I'll start narrowing it down. By the way, I'm on monthly data. I'm not on annual, I'm on monthly. I'm interrupting myself to tell you that if this has been at all helpful for you and you haven't hit the like button, please do. But even better, if you want me to help coach you one-on-one, join me at Exp Realty. The link is in the description below. Name me or my wife as a sponsor. My wife's name is Brittany Monio. Either one of our links will be there. As soon as I see that you've onboarded into our community, we're going to get ready to go, baby. I will help you make the amount of income that you're looking to make as long as you're willing to put in the effort. So if you are 10 out of 10 committed to making real estate agent business work for you, let's freaking go. Back to the show. So monthly buyer demand, and this is where I start. Again, I go through my clicks with them. So I'm looking for the type of dwelling, I'm looking for the age group, I'm looking for the number of bedrooms, whatever is important to them. And these are the numbers that I call out. Number 1 is the days on market. How fast do we need to act? How slow can we wait on a property? And number 2 is the percentage over or under asking price. That's very, very important when it comes to our offers and what the market is offering listings. So I'm going to go through as if you were my buyers. So we're looking at Rita Ranch, 85747. It looks like there were 26 properties sold last month, and the median days on market was 59, which is pretty good. You see this red arrow over here that shows an increase of 16? That means that the market is slowing down, which is good for you. Now we can be more aggressive in our offer, not too crazy aggressive, of course. I'll tell you how aggressive. Overall, we can rate around 2 months before placing an offer on a house. With that said, as you're starting to look at houses and you're seeing that the properties have been on the market for 50, 55 days, chances are it's gonna be taken around that time. So just so you know, and that's just what the stats say. Now, of course, things can change from here until then. The median sales price is $340,000. So that's what we can expect, which has been a 25% decrease from this time last year. Another win for us as buyers. And by the way, notice how I said us as buyers, we're on the same team. And the percentage over asking, this is another important percentage that I look at because this is what the sellers are seeing from other buyers. What do other buyers do? We want that information because we want to know how aggressive we can be without pissing off the seller, without them saying, don't even place an offer again on this property. We don't want to work with you. That's the last thing we want to do. So for example, here, the percentage over asking is negative 1.88. So offers are coming in a little bit below list price, but not by a lot. So we're not in the market right now of putting an offer that's $10,000 below ask or $12,000 before ask. That's too aggressive right now, but that's what we're seeing at this time. So that's pretty cool. So we can pretty much ask for about 2%. We can shave 2% off of the list price. Of course, this is assuming that the property that we're looking at is priced appropriately. If the price was not appropriate to begin with, say the property was priced way too high, of course, we'd be placing an offer that compares to, the rest of the neighborhood. But if there are properties that are placed below market, they're not going to last 59 days in the market. And they're likely not going to have offers coming in 2% below. There are still properties that get multiple offers on it. So I definitely want you to know that. As of right now, in general, in this area, each house does look at getting around 2, maybe 3 offers at this time. Typically, the first offer is a lowball investor, which is good for us, being that we're not investors. The next offer, if we were to be the second offer, is going to be higher than the investor offer, but maybe not high enough. Of course, I will guide you through every single property that we're looking at when it comes to actually making a purchase if you're serious enough about a property. So with that, do you have any questions? And at that point, I let them ask any and all questions that they're looking for to get asked. I answer them. And that is pretty much step 2 or part 2 of the buyer call. I don't bore them with this. Sometimes they say that they want a copy. Great. I will screenshot this or I'll send this over to them. Very easy for us to do that. But at this point, I have set expectations. What have I gone over? I pretty much said we cannot offer $10,000 below list price. We can't offer $12,000 below list price. That's very, as you see, based off the market, that's not where we're at right now. We can offer 2% off the list price. I have also mentioned the number of days on market. So if we're looking at a property that has around 50, expect to act a little bit faster. All of this, again, is us against the market. I don't want to be the one that says, well, the market right now says this, because if I don't show them, if they don't see it for themselves, they're going to think I'm coming up with this stuff out of my ass, and I don't want them to think that. So after I've answered all their questions, at that point, I'm like, okay, great. So now part 3 of this call, we've gone over, what you're looking for, what the market is right now. Part 3 of this call is what the next steps are. The next steps is how to work best with each other. So my transaction coordinator, her name is XYZ. She's going to be emailing you. Again, check junk. In real estate, all of our emails go to junk and they go, ha ha ha. So the form that you're going to see in your email from my transaction coordinator is going to be the buyer broker agreement. You can sign it on your own time, but I want to cover now what it goes over. And it goes over agency, aka our relationship. So to break it down into layman's terms, it means that you're hiring only me as your real estate agent, which, by the way, I should ask, have you reached out or signed anything with any other real estate agent to purchase a property in Tucson? And they're usually like, no. I'm like, okay, great, perfect. Because I don't want you to be in the hook for 2 compensations. I don't want you to have to pay me and have to pay somebody else too. So excellent, we're on the same page. What the buyer broker covers is I have your fiduciary duty. That means that I am representing you and only you. However, if you want to look at a property that is one of my listings where I also represent the seller, I will let you know that I'm also representing the seller. At that point, our relationship would change. Now, good for you. At this time, I only have 3 listings and I don't think you're looking for them, but we'll have that conversation more in depth later on. What that typically means is at that point, I wouldn't be able to represent and have your fiduciary duty just to you. I would kind of have to keep my mouth shut to make sure that I don't get sued. Hopefully that makes sense. And they're usually like, ha ha ha, yes. So then I go over, but chances are typically we're just going to have the fiduciary duty where I'm not representing the seller. I'm representing just you. Therefore, my goal is to make sure that you get the best damn deal that you can. Now, I want to cover my compensation because this includes compensation as well. And likely at this point, you're like, hey, how much am I going to have to pay you? And this is where I want to cover the NAR lawsuit just a little bit. Have you heard anything about it? And they're usually like, a little bit. And I'm like, okay, great. So I'll explain a little bit more. And that way I don't want to flood you with information, but I want you to be educated because that's what I'm all about. I want all of my clients to be as educated as possible. Now, I don't want to bore you, but I'm going to say what it was before and what it's like now. So previously, up until the NAR lawsuit, the sellers with good reason ended up suing the NAR saying, hey, wait, why do we as sellers have to pay our listing agent to represent us, but then also pay the buyer's agent who's only working against us for me to get a lower net? Makes sense. So they sued, and now the transfer of money is slightly different. Now, what that means to you, I'll explain in just a second. So what it used to be is a listing agent would meet with the seller. So seller here, a listing agent would meet with them and they would say, hey, I would sell your house for XYZ, and out of my commission of XYZ, I, as the listing agent, will pay the buyer's agent. So I'll split some with the buyer to pay for the buyer's agent, right? So the money to transfer from seller down to listing agent would split it with the buyer agent. But now the money transfers differently. So now the listing agent will go to the seller and they'll negotiate only their own compensation, because now the listing agents are not able to share their portion with the buyer agent. So what happens now is more of a triangle. So now the money goes from seller to their listing agent, and sometimes the seller directly to pay me. And if there isn't enough for what my fee is, then the rest comes out of the buyer's pocket. Does that make sense? And I say it just like that. Does that make sense? Like that, does that make sense? They're usually like, okay, yeah, got it. And so that's where I tell them good news. I'm like, and good news is, in Tucson, unlike other areas, in Tucson, the seller is still paying majority of the buyer agent compensation. So that's good news for you. Now, I do say majority though, because a lot of times they're not covering everything. They're covering majority though. And in the same breath, I continue to say, and I promise you that no matter what property we look at, you will know beforehand about how much the seller is looking to pay toward my compensation. So I'm never going to show you a property in the blind. You're never going to fall in love with a property, in person after we see it together, that you don't know how much you're going to be paying for it. Again, that's not me. I want you to be as educated as possible. Does that make sense? And they're usually like, okay, yep, I get it. So at that point, I've told them exactly that they're likely going to be paying, this is all truth. It's in the market where sellers are still paying buyer agent, but not all of it anymore. So now they know to expect to save some money. Now, sometimes they ask, about how much, and that is so hard to say because we don't know if the seller's having a good day, a bad day, if it's priced high, if it's priced low, like what type of property. There are so many variables, and this is exactly how I answer it too. I'm like, there are so many variables. It's very, very hard to say. But like in general, and don't hold me to this because of course we're going to see that one property that's an anomaly, but in general, the sellers are paying about 75% of what my compensation is. And they're usually like, okay, so we can expect around XYZ amount. And I'm like, yeah, probably around there. Again, don't hold me to it. Up until we see the actual property, I've run comps, I've spoken to the listing agent, and I've asked them, how much is the seller looking to pay the buyer agent compensation? At that point, I will tell you. Again, you're never going to be in the blind. Now, with that said, as we start looking at properties, I want to make sure that we're on the same page, and I ask you to do 3 things before sending me any properties. And those 3 things are, number 1 is if you're not in the local area yet, go on maps.google.com, and any property that you think you like, drop the little yellow guy and virtually walk around the entire neighborhood. What kind of vibe do you get? Do you like it? Do you think you're going to feel safe? Because I legally cannot answer that, which is kind of ironic. And this is where I have more personal, I share a personal story, which is kind of ironic because that was literally my job, my entire career in the Air Force as a special agent. I worked counterintelligence. I would give briefings at embassies and to military members to tell them what areas to go to and what areas and establishments to stay away from. So now it's like 180. I have to, I can't do it. I'm so sorry. I wish I could, but I cannot. Plus, what you consider safe and what I consider safe are likely very different. And I would never want to be liable and feel any sort of way if I steered you. So I can't, that's illegal. So therefore, I asked you to do that research for yourself, drop the little yellow guy, walk the neighborhood, or if you're already in town, then physically go to the neighborhood. Of course, you won't be able to go inside the house yet, but go to the neighborhood, drive around, and bonus points if it's on a Saturday night at like midnight, because that's when you'll really realize, do I feel safe here or do I not? That's part 1. Part 2 is that you look at the crime map and the school district, because again, I can't talk about what's safe, what's not. I also suggest if you want to go above and beyond, you can call the local police station and you can ask them, what's the most common crime here? And by the way, this is all in my video series for you, so you don't have to memorize all of this. And of course, if you have any questions, we're going to have a group chat amongst the 3 of us as soon as we're done with this call, which by the way, is letting them know, hey, I'm assuming the sale. We're going to start a group chat. We're all going to be in communication. I'm going to be right here with you. Then at that point, after it has passed all the checks so far, at that point, send it to me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look up on the MLS. I'm going to look up that specific property. I'm going to look up any documents that's attached to it. because sometimes they've attached the insurance, which maybe has a report that's saying that they had to file an insurance claim on the roof because the roof caved in or the roof leaked or anything like that. I'll send that to you. I will send any seller disclosures, which in Arizona we call the SPUDs, or seller property disclosure statement, because likely you're going to want to know, have there been animals living in it? Do they have a lot of pests? Do they have termites? Did they have to do some sort of work? I'll read the documents. I'll let you know the highlights. I'll send it to you so that way you can see it for yourself as well and you can save a copy. And I will be making sure that the price is what we're looking at to maintain budget, because you said you wanted a mortgage of no more than $2,500. And I'm going to make sure that the financing type is right, because sometimes they actually don't allow certain finances, but the listing agents can sometimes make mistakes, check off a wrong box. Therefore, it shows it to us when we really shouldn't have seen it. I'll let you know. So that's what I'm going to be doing behind the scenes. And like I promised you, I'm going to be reaching out to the listing agent and asking them, is a seller open to any buyer agent compensation? So that way, if you decide to proceed and you've read the paperwork's good to go, you like the area, you like the crime or lack thereof, then at that point, I will schedule you in as soon as possible. And we can see if it's a property that you are willing to place an offer on, already knowing how much, if anything, you're going to have to pay toward my compensation. And then I, take a pause there because I've spoken a lot and I'm like, good. And they're like, okay, sometimes they have some questions, sometimes they don't. Then I say, okay, so perfect. We're on the same page. So just to recap, you're going to be receiving 3 emails. I know it's a lot. Let me know if you have any questions. Number 1 is going to be from my TC. She does my paperwork. And so her name is XYZ. Be on the lookout for that. That as soon as you sign that is when I can get started and, start to work for you. The other 2 emails are going to come from me. One is going to be the next steps and all of the education. So if you want to, watch my YouTube series specifically for you as a client, you can do that. The second email is going to be going to your junk, and it's going to be the list that I just sent you on from my KV Core. So after this call, once you sign the buyer broker, then take a look at the properties. We already looked through 2 together right now, but take a look at some others. Please give me feedback because I want to hear, Allie, this house is shit. This is not what I'm looking for. I want more of this. Or if you like some of them, tell me why. So that way I continue to get a sense of exactly what you're looking for. I will start a group chat so you can give your feedback in the group chat and we can get started. How does that sound? And they're usually like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited, blah, blah, blah. At that point, I say amazing and lucky for you, especially for on this, personality wave right now, which I try to bring the personality to catch them up to me. So usually I'm like, lucky for you, we're going to have this relationship even past me helping you buy a house. So I hope that you think of me as your realtor for life. And I know I'm asking for a lot right now. You haven't even signed the initial form, but we're going to enjoy working together. I already know it. I sense it. And they're usually like, okay, cool, realtor for life. So that's the first time that I've put in their head, oh, this isn't just for a one-time transaction. She's gonna be my realtor for life. So then I go for asking for a referral. By the way, is there anybody else that you know that is happening to move to Tucson, Arizona that I can help as well? I would love to help them. And they're usually like, no, not at this time. And I say, okay, cool, no worries. Please let me know if there's anybody, I'll be asking you probably again because this is my business. So if it's okay with you, I'd love to ask you again as we continue with this. And they're usually like, yeah, sure, fine. So that's it. We say goodbye, we say I love yous and blah, blah. Just kidding, don't say it. I don't say that. Not yet. And then at that point, I make sure that my TC has sent over the buyer broker. She sometimes hasn't yet, and that's okay. Especially since, if the buyers book a call pretty fast, maybe my TC hasn't had the time to send it yet. At that point, as promised, I'm going to make sure that my email sent from my KV Core with the listings. I'm going to start the group chat on my iMessage. I'm going to pin it to the top. And a hack is I'm going to save their name instead of just their name. In the very beginning, before they've signed the buyer broker, I'm going to add a yellow circle in the beginning. This is a super easy hack for me. This helps me whenever I'm in the middle of something and I'm getting a call or I'm getting a text. It literally prioritizes who I'm going to answer, if anybody. So if I see people with a red flag, I'm not answering that, but they're not my clients. So I don't have any yellow now, but once they have signed the buyer broker, you'll see I have pinned clients at the top and some of them are green. So that way, whenever I get somebody calling me, if I see a green dot, I'm going to answer it because that means that they have signed the buyer broker exclusive agreement or they've signed the listing agreement, that they're my client, they take priority. Now, I don't tell the clients this is just for my own notes and to help you out too. So up until they sign the buyer broker, I add them as a yellow. The yellow also reminds me whenever I look at my text threads, like, oh, I should probably reach out to them, make sure, did they sign? My TC sent it back to me. And it's just another way for me to prioritize because yes, prioritize your clients. So I start the group chat, all three of us, or maybe multiple. Sometimes I'll even add the lender in there as well. So that way it's all one happy family. They meet with a lender, they sign the buyer broker. That's when I can start working for them. 100% of the buyers that I meet with over Zoom for the buyer presentation sign with me. And that's because I get them slightly differently from other real estate agents. I get them from YouTube. Even though we are strangers and I have never met them, they know that they want to work with me. So 100% of those that book a call on my Calendly end up signing the buyer broker agreement. That creates the best type of relationship that I can have because they already know the personality that I have because they've watched typically 20 plus videos of mine already. And I know that I want to work with them because of that, because I know that they like me. Because you have stuck around to the end, I want to give, as promised in the beginning of this video, I want to give something to you, and that is my buyer agent checklist. Now, I rarely ever give this away, like ever, but I'm giving this to you away for free. So it is in the link in the description below. This covers what I say in the buyer presentation, not everything, but it covers what I say in the presentation, some of it, as well as every single step. Once they sign the buyer broker, now what? Like now how do you help them? And how do you not just help one, but how do you help multiple and not get confused as to where all of your clients are at? So that's why I created a checklist for helping buyer clients. If you want that, I'm giving this to you for free. The link is in the description below. It's in my school community. So join that. It is for free. And if you like the buyer agent checklist, you are definitely going to like the rest of the white belt bundle that comes with it. That's at a cost. So if you like the buyer agent checklist, you're gonna like the rest of it, I promise. In that, I include the complete listing agent checklist, the complete outbound referral agent checklist, aka of a client looking to purchase where you're not licensed, but you can get a commission cut, 25-30%. I also include my real estate Bible, which has everything of what I know about real estate sales. Everything. That alone is worth 3 times the price of what I'm selling the white belt bundle for. Everything in the last 4 years of what I've learned has gone into the real estate Bible, and I'm practically giving it away. I also have social media on there because all this assumes that you're getting clients that even want to sign the buyer broker with you. I also have the open house playbook, which is a great way for you to continue to get leads, buyers and sellers. So exactly how to have an open house where you end up leaving with clients that day, and what to do in your first 90 days. So if you liked this, I know you're going to like that, but either way, the buyer agent checklist is free just for you watching this video and for the price of you subscribing to this channel. Love you, see you, bye.